Hey, welcome back. I'm actually surprised you guys came back. We are the Coterie Club Podcast. We just want to welcome you in. We're just three people who are fans of the Consumer Podcast with Greg Warren and Tim Convy and Sean O'Brien. And we just love them and we love the podcast. And we want to share kind of from the beginning. Right now, we're on the second one, the episode. And just as a disclaimer, we are not professional comedians whatsoever. We're just here just to kind of share our thoughts about the podcast. My name is
Mhm.
Nathan Taylor, and my co-hosts are Amy Coates and Mookie Blaylock. So welcome on in, guys.
Howdy.
Happy to be here, ready to get into the second episode, Whole Foods, the Nateland crossover.
The Nateland crossover. Yeah, Whole Foods. My goodness. The crossover thing it was good, but it was like a little bit disjointed, because I
Oh,
felt
very
like,
much.
okay, I didn't know if I was the only one that felt that because I was just like, the bits were funny and all that kind of stuff, but I sensed that like Brian, he is the one who is the driver, in the Nateland podcast and now into Public Figures podcast, and he's kind of the one that keeps things on the rails for that, those
Hmm.
those two other people specifically keeping Dusty on track, which is more than a full time and a half job.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
I mean, just my opinion. I don't know. You can tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know,
No.
but
I could tell that Brian and Dusty and Aaron were not as familiar with Sean and Tim as they were with Greg. I
yeah,
could I could tell that, and I think that that's changed since then. Now I think they're more kind of like a cohesive unit, and they're all working together. Especially
Mhm.
Brian. I know that I think. And I may be mistaken about this, but I think in Brian's stand up, he's had Sean and Tim there at times, kind of
hmm
opening for him. And since then, both Sean and Tim have done a Nate Land presents. So that
Mhm.
that that went a long way for those other guys to get to know Sean and Tim. But you could definitely tell that they didn't have a whole lot of interaction with one another during. They had not had a lot of interaction with one another at this point.
Right. And it was interesting just the dynamic between from the first podcast, the first episode to this one, that Tim and Sean were very kind of tentative. I
yeah,
think Tim felt more comfortable, but Sean he'd pipe in a little bit here and there, but I also think since it wasn't the dynamic of the three of them, some of the jokes fell flat because like the other guys didn't quite know the groove.
Well, I'll tell you a joke that I really liked was Brian's story about not donating to the Ronald McDonald House when he was on his way to the Courtney show.
oh yeah,
Not the Christie show. You can't get on the Christie show. You're not big enough to be on the Christie show yet. But he's on his
Right.
way to the Courtney show. He tells that story about not donating to the Ronald McDonald House. That was hilarious. I remember listening to that the first time, and I was dying laughing. I about had to pull over.
Hmm. It
classic
was,
Brian awkward moment though that he turns into a comedic thing. Like he is the king of awkward moment comedy, in my opinion.
oh my gosh. Yes, his baseball stealing first base story makes me giggle every time. Um,
Gosh, that's such a great story.
but it was the other thing that I remember from their comments, they were talking about Nate being on Saturday Night Live.
Hmm.
And so I thought it was just a little bit interesting because with Nate gone and Aaron gone, it was like, what are we gonna do? Hey, why don't we bring these other guys down? It felt kind of thrown together and not necessarily planned.
Hmm. Well, I think they probably had it planned because they've for every podcast that they've added to the Nateland to the Nateland company, they've had a crossover on the main podcast, whether that
Yeah.
was Nateland or Public Figures. Um, I was just thinking the other day, randomly, is Correct Opinions with Trey Kennedy still on the Nateland ticket, or is that gone? I hadn't heard anything about that recently.
I have no idea. And I watched like
Mhm.
one of them, and I don't know. I I'm sure some people like it. It's not for me, but
Mhm.
Yeah,
you know,
they have a good
Well,
groove, but yeah, I didn't quite fall
yeah.
into that.
I like Trey Kennedy, but I wasn't a
oh,
super
okay.
big fan of his podcast. But I am a huge fan, obviously, of the consumers. And as disjointed as things were in this podcast, I still think it went well. There were some funny moments, and learned a
Hmm.
lot about Whole Foods. I didn't know a whole lot about Whole Foods going into this episode. So
Yeah.
Well, we call it whole paycheck, and I I just checked, and I that's really legit a name. But I just checked Google Maps, and the nearest one to where I live is either Lexington or Louisville, and I am not driving an hour and a half, 2 hours just to go to a Whole Foods. No, thank you.
Not to
we
spend
definitely
that kind
don't
of money.
we definitely don't have one in Bowling Green, and I didn't grow up around one either. I spent some time going to school in Montgomery, Alabama, and there was a Whole Foods there, but I never went. It was so expensive on a college budget. There's no way I could buy anything in there. Bananas were like $40, something like that.
I've been in, I don't know, they were all over the place in Indy, but I've
Yeah.
just only been in a couple. But I have an extremely bland palate, and I joke about how I like my foods to be the earth tones. I like beige foods. Don't like a ton of flavor. Um, so everything at Whole Foods just felt like too much over. It was fancy this, spicy that, this, and this. And my kids tease me because one day I was eating something, I go, oh, that's got some kick to it. And my son goes, what is it, salt? So so I thought this is too much for me. I just give me something boring, give me plain old white bread with all the junk in it. I don't need the fancy stuff. It's not really worth it to me. So I haven't been back too often.
You never
So
tried
you
the
are the
asparagus water?
anti-dusty.
Hmm?
Go ahead.
Pardon?
I said you are the anti-dusty in that
Right?
regard. You're definitely a farm to factory to table kind of girl, as Nate Bargatze would say.
100%. Yes.
Has
You
anybody
know
ever
what? You
tried
can
the?
bring it
Oh,
farm to table. Just don't dress it up too much. I don't need all that stuff.
To answer your question, Nathan, I didn't know asparagus water existed.
No.
asparagus water,
I
man.
I never heard of it until I watched this podcast. I didn't know anything about it, and it sounds like that was a good idea because
Yeah,
basically it's just asparagus and water that does nothing for you.
sounds terrible. I mean, I just can't even imagine thinking, oh, that sounds good. I do like asparagus, but no.
What did Barnum and Bailey say? There's a sucker born every minute.
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely, there is.
Every
You're
dang
not
minute.
you're not getting any nutrients out of it if you don't. I mean, I
No.
guess you can eat it raw, but it's not like the nutrients are seeping into the water. But they covered all of that in the podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
I did think we were kind of talking about the dynamic. I thought it was interesting with Greg being kind of the common denominator between the two groups. He seemed to kind of be the one that they would all joke with, but I saw Tim and Sean kind of being a little less much. And I couldn't quite tell if they were being on their best behavior just because they weren't comfortable or if they didn't want to embarrass Greg or kind of whatever. They loosened up, I think, as the episode went on. But I thought that was interesting to watch because it's a complete switch from what we saw the first episode.
Well,
There's
one of the things that Aaron would talk about sometimes, and this has just been recently. We're all probably very familiar with the civilian station segment that happened on the Nateland podcast very early on. Aaron has talked about that before and said, at this point, he said I knew Nate pretty good, but at this point, I'm still thinking that Nate can fire me from this podcast. So I'm trying to
Mhm.
hold it together and I just can't hold it together. So I keep trying to get it back together and I just can't. And I'm wondering if early on that was kind of some stuff that was going on with Sean and Tim, where they were kind of, well, you don't really recognize it in the first episode we talked about last time. But I think you can see, just like you were saying, Amy, in this one, that they're on the Nateland podcast, they're on the primetime podcast, and maybe they're trying to hold it together and they're holding back a little bit because the bosses are around. I don't know.
Right. That's kind of the feel that I got. But entertainingly, though, Greg still had a hard time keeping. Now he had 4 people to keep on topic when he kept trying to pull it back to talk more about Whole Foods. And it
Are
was,
vegetables real? You know,
yeah.
It's an interesting take. It's an interesting take.
yeah.
I can see where Dusty is coming from in the fact that every vegetable is something else, and it's not
Buffy.
really
Oh, sorry.
there's not a that's true. There's not a single vegetable that can't be identified as something else. But on the other hand of that, you can also identify a lot of things as different things. So I
Well,
avoid them. I avoid them entirely. Amy was talking about the fact that she has a very bland palate. I I have a very protein rich and carbohydrate rich palate. There's not very many green things that I eat. And if I stood up, you would be able to tell that I don't eat a whole lot of green things.
well,
Well,
I've heard also the definition um, of vegetables was basically something like edible edible plants or something like that was the kind of the translation. And so
Let's
that, yeah, I'm trying to pull it up, but it
let's see
was
what good old let's say what good old Merriam-Webster has to say about it.
right.
is it a fruit?
A plant or part of a plant used as food, such as a cabbage, potato, carrot, or bean. So a plant or part of a plant that's used for food, that could mean anything could be a vegetable. If it grows in the ground, it can be a vegetable, even if it's a fruit.
Any edible part of a herbaceous plant, including roots, stems, leaves, bulbs, tubers, and flowers. So a dandelion could be a fruit
Dandelion could be a vegetable.
Yeah.
or
Well,
vegetable. Yes.
people do actually eat dandelion greens.
My
Yeah, they'll
mom
fry
tells
them.
stories
They'll fry
about
the
having
flowers
dandelion
too.
soup.
They'll fry the flowers too. They're supposed to be good. I've never done it.
Yeah.
Sounds
So,
like something that Dusty would do out of left field.
right.
I used to
No,
pick
my
them for
mom
my
tells
mom.
stories about them being so poor she had to have dandelion soup. So it was, but I mean, he's totally not wrong, but his takes always sound so out there. It took a minute for me to catch on and really kind of understand where he was going. That's something to use in a Trivial Pursuit game or some sort of trivia game. Just don't be that, well, actually guy everywhere.
Right.
You know, the other thing that's interesting is that they talked about the VWs in the parking lot. And so, and their hippie roots. The thing is that true hippies never have gone to Whole Foods. They go and they grow their own stuff, or they go to the local farmers market to buy stuff.
Right.
So they're just if they're coming to the Whole Foods store with their VWs, that means that they're just fronting. Because I can tell you that up in Naperville, which is where I used to live up in Illinois, at the Whole Foods up there, um, there was nothing but Lexus, Teslas, and Mercedes Benz and Audis in that parking lot in Naperville. But
Yeah.
um, the reason why I went there is because my wife just like one of the products. I think it was like a just just one thing that we went there to get, and it was just that one thing. And I think in the yeah, and so that was the only reason why we went there. I went in there and I looked at some of the prices of stuff. I'm like, golly, this stuff is
Right.
expensive.
You became
you
Nate in that moment, didn't you?
Yeah,
Golly.
yeah.
Golly. You know, one of the things that they didn't talk about in this episode, I expected them to talk about. Dusty has
Hmm.
talked about the peanut butter panda puffs that they sell at Whole Foods before, and I was expecting that to come up in this episode, but it didn't. It must come up in a different Nateland episode,
Hmm.
because that was one of the things that I remembered. Is he always taught he has a story he tells where he was going in to get peanut butter panda puffs and he was trying to find them, and then a guy walked up behind him and reached over him and grabbed 2 boxes and walked out. So apparently those are supposed to be good. Like I said, I've never shopped in Whole Foods. I can't tell you what there is, but I know you can grind your own coffee in there because of Parks and Rec. And they'll go to a knockoff Whole Foods in Parks and Rec, and Andy spills all the coffee beans on the floor.
The other thing that I thought was interesting was the fact that like they were talking about corn sweat
Mhm.
causing Midwest humidity, and it was like a new thing. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I grew up in farm country. My grandpa has a 400 acre farm, and having being humid because of corn was just, I don't know. I never called it corn sweat, but you sure did feel that on summer nights when the sun went down and literally you could see like the humidity
Yeah.
just rise right out of the cornfield. But I
Well,
don't know. They thought that was wild.
I hadn't heard it called that up until the last year and a half or so. But yeah, I grew up around a bunch of cornfields too, and it was just always gross. That was just it. But I never even thought about it to think that it was a phenomenon or that it was, anything beyond that. So I thought that was funny that kind of started becoming a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I grew up on a peanut farm in Alabama, and they would rotate peanuts and corn and soybeans, not soybeans, ryegrass. We grow soybeans here in Kentucky. Peanuts, corn, and ryegrass. And maybe we had corn sweats too. I just thought it was South Alabama humidity. It never went away. It was always humid in South Alabama.
Right. Right. I just never knew there was a connection, or I never knew that it was a thing. I just always hated the summer. Um,
One of the things that I picked up on was when they were talking about baseball cards, and Greg was wanting to get Dusty's kid a baseball card, and they were trying to figure out what Sam they wanted to talk about, and somebody mentioned Sam Bradford, and he was he would have been good maybe to get a card when he was in college. Because he didn't last very long in the NFL. I thought that was funny.
As
that
a Cubs fan, it's Sammy Sosa all the way, but
Sammy Sosa, definitely.
I mean,
that was the go-to for you, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I one of the things that I picked up on was there were a few times that Greg was just kind of blowing smoke trying to set up for a joke, and that you could tell that Tim and Sean picked up on it, but they didn't quite know whether or not they could chime in or whether or not they could call in on it. Or maybe they just decided to let it fall flat and see how he handled it. But there were a few times that you could tell that they knew what was coming and that Dusty and Brian weren't picking up on it. And it was just that funny little awkwardness kind of cracked me up. The other thing, we talked last time about Sean, getting wound up. He didn't get really wound up today.
No.
But he did make the comment, like he likes to throw things out and say, I could do this, when he was trying to talk about goading Greg into becoming angry and physical with him. So he was going to work on getting himself warned. So I thought that one was kind of, oh no, I can do it. Just watch me. Oh, I'm good. So, but another thing that I picked up on that I don't think I got the first time, they were talking about using a towel for a napkin in the hotel.
Yes, I have done that before.
Yes.
Have y'all done that? Have y'all done that before?
I mean, what else do you use if you get
Yeah.
a pizza and the pizza delivery guy never brings napkins if you get a pizza?
Mhm.
Like how else what else are you supposed to wipe your hands with? Toilet paper? Come on.
Chicken wings. I used to eat a lot of chicken wings on the road, and I mean, just destroy a hand towel from a hotel.
Well, I thought, and then what I thought was really funny is for a moment there, it almost felt like they forgot they were on a podcast. Like they thought they were just a bunch of guys sitting around, shooting the breeze, and they forgot this was being broadcast, because I think at one point one of them realized, like, oh God, we just outed ourselves as disgusting slobs, didn't we? And then Sean pipes in with hotel beds. I eat my own bed. All right, way to take the hit, Sean.
Well, that's a recurring theme with Sean is eating in the bed.
Yes.
So it started there. The other character that we haven't met, but allegedly we're supposed to meet one of these days, is Brazzy.
Yes.
Correct.
And
Yes. He has become like a silent co-host.
yes.
But yeah, we know he exists for sure. I've never checked this Smucker's website,
Well,
but maybe I will.
he's
we
come
got a
through.
letter. We got a letter from Brazzy when he sent a
Mhm.
bunch of stuff, and then he
Yep.
told Greg that he sold way more peanut butter as a stand-up comedian than he ever did as a salesman with Procter and Gamble, which I thought
Well,
was hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in his special that's like got like crazy amounts of views. So
Mhm.
Right?
yeah.
Right? So they did kind of another fun little thing. We were talking last time about the under the radar jokes. I don't know if it's Dusty's thing, if it's the way that he is, but he seems to miss a lot of jokes, whether it's on Nateland, whether it's on public figures. I don't know if he's intentionally awkward about it or if he just ignores them or what, but he really just seems to respond seriously to people just kind of blowing smoke at him. And I think we saw this again in this one, but it's just so interesting that no, really, he's defending himself, and people are like, one, we don't care, and two, we're just trying to get you going.
But he'll
I
roast you if
thought.
you put in the comments, by the way. Personal
Mhm.
knowledge of that, actually.
He what? Oh, he
I
roast
think.
you.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it's fun. I loved it.
Nice.
I think he plays that up a lot. I think he recognizes that he's got a brand, and I think sometimes Dusty's playing a character more than he is playing himself. But I know that he is that person. So many people that have met him, and I've met him, and I know that he's the same person all the time. But I think
Hmm.
he recognizes where his bread's buttered, and I think he plays that up a lot. He is a professional comedian.
Right.
Right.
He
Yes.
is a public figure, so
Right.
Yes. It's official
Right.
now. He's a public
he
figure.
knows he knows what he's doing somewhat.
Hmm.
Right. But he plays it so well that you don't know if he knows.
Mm-hmm.
That you don't know, is he just really that awkward or is what? Pretty consistent too.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, and I thought it was funny that Greg said to Dusty, "Have you ever put onions on your feet?" Like Dusty was the one you would expect to do it. Like, no. So, but yes, they all kind of have their brain, and I think it's neat seeing the Tim and Sean kind of figure theirs out.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
The only other thing I
and
say is for Whole Foods is, they captured the organic thing, and um, it's become like a huge popular thing. And I attribute that really to Whole Foods. I think
mm-hmm,
they are like the catalyst that like push like Walmart into doing organic, Aldi, and all the stores like fell suit, with starting to introduce organic, products to their product line. But when I was a kid, um, a long time ago, I won't say how many years, but it was in the
Fixing
70s,
to say, how long ago was that?
a long time ago, in a land far, far away. Um,
Galaxy far away.
yeah, far away. But we grew vegetables intentionally organically. We don't use any chemicals, you know, and we use raised beds like they do, like like the hippies do. And that's where it all came from in the 60s. They developed like that organic farming where they didn't use like any pesticides on any foods. And it wasn't cool back then. Let me tell you, it wasn't cool to be the one to be on an organic farm.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I bet nobody wanted to trade lunch with you at school, did they?
Oh no. Yeah, you want to trade your ho ho for my bag of fresh vegetable snacks?
Right. My homemade granola for your no,
Right.
for your Snickers bar. No thanks. I'm good.
So
No, and I think it's even funnier that Whole Foods started out as this, grassroots, this and this and this, and now they're owned by Amazon.
yeah,
So I don't know if they sold out to the evil corporation, or if they just saw a number so big they couldn't say no, or what. But it's
Hey,
like,
when it's not about money, it's about money every single time. Somebody says it's not about money, it's about money. You can go ahead and put that down you can put that down on concrete. It's about
mhm.
money. Somebody got a bag of money and left and said, "All right, you can take this over. I'm going to
Right.
go take all of this money and live a life where I have a lot of money."
I ain't hating on them. I do the same thing, honestly. I'd be like,
Absolutely.
see
Oh,
ya.
100%. If I had an idea that I could monetize and I could walk away with $1 billion, there you
Hmm.
wouldn't see me no more. I'd be on a beach somewhere.
I was going to say, yeah, I mean, I have, everybody has a number, and mine is not probably not near what Whole Foods was. I think I can be
No,
bought for so much less.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
But I think
But
that's funny, is that's what they start out as, and now this is what they are.
Hmm.
I mean, but a network of grocery chains that, have a niche, that they develop that chain and
Hmm.
develop that network and all those contracts, all that stuff, it's got to be worth that because that's the thing about Whole Foods is that they've developed all of those. Like farmers weren't doing organic. Like I said, they just weren't because it didn't
Hmm.
pay. And it doesn't pay because that's why they cost more. And so the same way. So yeah, kudos to them. But
Well, I can't wait till they do Costco, because the organic world has really gotten its claws into Costco. They're like
I'm sure.
healthying up any of their food. So if we want any normal food, then we go to Sam's.
That's funny. Get your white bread at
um,
Sam's Club.
Right.
does does Whole Foods have anything to do with Trader Joe's? Or is
No,
that a completely different company?
Aldi and
And
Trader Joe's are the same.
I'll tell you what, I made a mistake. Trader Joe's is the place that has those peanut butter panda puffs. It's
Ah,
not,
so,
it's not, it's not Whole Foods. I had it mixed up. I
so
just
that's why
now
it hasn't
remembered
come up
that.
yet.
Nice catch,
Exactly.
Mookie. I wasn't going to
It,
correct
it
you on that because I was thinking in my head, I'm like, I thought that was Trader Joe's, but I didn't want
it
to correct
hasn't come up because I
you.
was wrong. I reserve the
Okay,
right to be wrong
one.
later too. Mark that one
Okay,
for
one
me.
down. We'll keep a counter. How many times is Mookie wrong? No, I'm just
Right.
kidding.
One today.
I mean,
Probably be more later on, I'll guarantee you.
Get us a flip chart
there
graphic.
you
One.
go. All right. So we land this plane with the hats that the all the gentlemen were doing Mookie's hat corner here.
Ready to talk about some hats? I'm ready to talk about some hats. First off, this is my brand new hat. I just got this in the mail 2 days ago. This is a St. Louis Battlehawks hat. Not very many people are into the UFL spring football. I am. I watch football year round. This is the St. Louis team that plays where the St. Louis Rams used to play. And I'm a big fan of those guys because when the UFL first started as the XFL, they had a lot of Auburn players, and I'm a big Auburn fan. So I kind of latched on to them, and I watched them, and I think that's great. It's kind of my St. Louis connection is the Battlehawks, even though Greg has stated publicly that he doesn't watch them. Kind of hurts my heart, but it is what it is. We'll talk about Tim's hat first. He was wearing an all black. Well, you know what? I'm going to wait for Tim's because I have a good story about Tim's hat. We'll start with Sean, by the way. No hat. Can't believe it. Don't. I'm sure that's going to come up later on too. But he didn't have a hat on today, which is something that I haven't seen in a long time. I don't think there's a lot of episodes where Sean doesn't wear a hat, but he did not have on one today. Greg's hat was very interesting. I had to kind of do a deep dive on Google to figure out Greg's hat and Tim's hat. Greg was wearing an earth tone trucker hat that had three bees on it and a chicken. I found out that that is a hat for Big Bad Breakfast, which is a breakfast chain in a lot of big countries, a lot of big cities. but it looks very similar to this one right here. This is Cheney's Dairy Barn in Bowling Green, Kentucky. So that's kind of a local thing. Very similar to the hat that Greg was wearing. It's that trucker snapback, white logo on the front. Big Bad Breakfast in Nashville, not in St. Louis. So I think that might be one of the reasons that he wore it for this particular podcast. May have just went there, may have just bought that hat. Don't really know. Talk about Dusty's hat, because Dusty was also wearing a hat. Might as well talk about it. It was a trucker hat for
Always.
beech nut chewing tobacco, which is very famously Hank Williams Jr. said that he would like to spit some beech nut in that dude's eye and shoot him with his old 45, after his friend that was in New York City lost his life to a murderer. Very similar to the Indiana hat I showed last time as well. Kind of fluffy in the front, snapback trucker hat. Kind of sits really high on top of his head, which he wears a lot of hats like that.
And
Now,
wasn't it signed with something, or it had a?
yeah, it had some type of signature on it. I don't think they ever figured out what it was. Maybe it was the person that sent it to him. He said that he had just gotten that out of his PO box that morning. So very interesting hat, cool hat. I like that. You know, he wears a lot of tobacco stuff. So very much Dusty the beech nut hat.
On brand.
Tim's hat, very interesting. All black with one white logo, very similar to this one right here. This is actually a Kane Brown hat. I did not know it at the time. I picked this up as a thrift store because it had my initials on it and I thought it was cool. This is actually for Kane Brown, the almost country music artist. Definitely not a country music artist. If you ask Dusty Slay if he's a country music artist, he's
Right.
not. But he does play music. He's signed to a country label, and this is very similar to the hat that Tim was wearing. I was doing my best to try and figure out what the logo on Tim's hat meant. It's something that I'd never seen before. I turned my television up to 1080p so that I could read what was on his hat. I was still having trouble figuring it out. I put it through Google Lens, and I'm going to read you back verbatim what Google Lens told me Tim Convy's hat was. This image features a hat worn by comedian Nate Bargatze, likely featuring a patch from his Funny Ain't Cheap tour, which often includes a So Tall merchandise patch. First of all, not Nate Bargatze. Second of all, the Funny Ain't Cheap tour doesn't exist. I looked for it.
Yeah,
It's
I've never
not
heard of
there. So Tall, have absolutely no idea what that means, where it came from. So what we learned is AI's got a long way to go because all of that was extremely and totally wrong. I was finally able to figure out what it was. It was a Sun Volt hat, CSONVOLT, which is a very obscure 90s alternative rock band, which is very much Tim Convy. Because
Yes.
he was in Ludo, kind of still is in Ludo. It would make sense that he kind of supports those guys and wears that merch. I haven't listened to any Sunvolt songs since then, but I had to go down a deep rabbit hole to try and figure that out. And to my surprise, Google Lens thinks Tim Convy is Nate Bargatze, and then just spit out a bunch of stuff that didn't make any sense whatsoever. So that's
Say
my
it
hat
ain't
corner.
so.
It is. It is so. Definitely so. AI's got a long way to go, guys. But like the hats, thought they were good, especially like I think Greg's hat was my favorite this time because I like that earth tone kind of vibe. I have a lot of hats that have those earthy tones on it. That's one of the reasons that I have that Cheney's hat as well. So
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks, Mookie. Appreciate that. That's quite a deep dive there that you did for specifically for Tim's, which seemed to be the one that was like the most obscure of all of them for sure. But
I love doing this hat corner. I don't know if anybody else is going to enjoy it, but I'm definitely having a
well,
really good time.
I'm having a good time listening to it because I'm like, good gracious, I don't know if I'd ever even think about it like that ever. So
I'm learning.
yeah, so hey, we're having a good time
Always having a good
always.
time.
So
Hey, be careful. We're gonna have copyright infringement on us.
oh yeah, I know, right? I could just reword that. I could put that through Chat Jeep. No, never mind. Okay.
Don't put it through Google Lens. Don't put it through Google Lens. I'll tell you that right now.
It'll call you Nate Bargatze.
All right. Well, I think that wraps it for Whole Foods. Good episode. I enjoyed it still the second time around. Learned a lot more. And
I think it was what probably good hour of the guys kind of riffing on each other or, harassing each other, and about 20 minutes of Whole Foods. And probably, 11 of that was Greg trying to rein everybody back in. But I did like Tim's fun fact about the cheese. To be a cheese society or whatever, and
cheese sommelier. No, that's not it.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of random and interesting. Again, another Trivial Pursuit fact to tuck away for later.
There you go. Awesome. Well, hey, we're the Coterie Club Podcast. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.
Yeah.